Chapter 28, balance of payments on the current account. We're talking about balance of payment, BOP. It represents the records of all countries' international transaction. All the countries, all Libya's international transaction, the record of Libya's international transaction is called balance of payment. That means in terms of trade, goods and services. So we scroll down. The current account on the balance of payments. Goods and services which are sold overseas are called exports. In getting started, the examples, we don't need that. So let's just go to export and import here. So when I talk about balance of payment, it would have been as a result of our trade with other countries. The record, that means there's balance of trade, which represents imports and exports. So for export, we're talking about goods sold overseas, goods sold to foreign customers. That is export. The imports are goods purchased from foreign businesses. Imports, clear. So how we record these, the difference between these imports and exports, what we record is called the balance of payment. Clear? So the balance of payment is divided into two. We have the current account and the capital/financial account. So we start with the current account. For the current account, this is shows the value of all imports and exports over a period of time. It includes both visible and invisible. So for the current account, it talks about the value of all our exports and imports. That's what the current account talks about. So when we talk about the value of exports, we're talking about both in goods and in services. Do you get it? Yes. The value of goods export, the value of goods in services. Export. The value of goods imported, the value of services imported. So this is what the current account records. Is it clear? So they said it includes visible trade, which visible trade means goods, and invisible are services. So this is okay. It also includes income from interest, profits, and dividends on assets. We call this factor income. That means what we gain, the rewards of our factors of production, like land, labor, capital, and enterprise. This is what the rewards are. They are part of our current account. Clear? And income paid in the form of interest. Okay. So, and also what we pay in terms of our imports to foreign owners, what we pay from our country, is also part of our current account. What we receive from our foreign businesses or foreign owner or businesses, we have foreign businesses or foreign counterparts, foreigners that are counterparts with us, that have dealings with us. What we receive from them and what we pay them are part of our current accounts. Then the capital and financial account records flow of money into and out of the country resulting from transactions relating to savings, investment, and speculation. So for the capital and financial account, the capital account talks about how we exchange money. Maybe we bought currency from one country, we sold gold, reserves, and all these things. They are all part of our financial. So when you save money to another country, it's about money. It's not goods or service. That is financial accounts or capital. Clear? So we go down. Current account deficit and surpluses. It is very unlikely that in any given period of time, the value of the country's exports will be exactly the same as the value of imports. If they are the same, we call it if they are the same, balanced budget. We call it balanced. If they are the same, but it's not possible that they are the same anyway. It's either more or less. So the difference between the two values is called the current balance. So the current account balance can be deficit or surplus. The current account deficit occurs when the value of import is greater than the value of export. So when the total value of visible import and invisible import is greater than the visible export and invisible export, then it is balance of payment current account deficit. Did you get it? So we have a balance of payment current account deficit when import is more than export. Clear? Then we have surplus when the balance of, or when our export is more than imports. That is surplus. Clear? Let me see what we need to know about here. Export is money that comes into the country. Import is money that goes out of the country. I think that is the same as what we just said here. So go to visible and invisible trade. Are you there? Visible trade is to do with the buying and selling of physical goods. I explained that already. Things that we can see, physical. Examples might include iron or textile, leather goods, anything we can touch or feel. We can touch them. They are visible. So the difference between the total value of visible export and import is called the balance of trade or visible balance. That's for trade. Trade in goods, the visible one. That means we're talking about trade in goods. So we call it balance of trade in goods. The difference between exporting goods and importing goods. Do you get that? That's our balance of trade or visible balance. Then we have invisible trade. Invisible trade involves exchange of services. Are you there? Examples are tourism, trade in financial services, transport, such as shipping, consultancy fee. These are all invisible. So invisible trade also includes flow of money resulting from the ownership of assets overseas. So when we have assets abroad, it is part of our invisible goods. Example might include interest, rents, and profits. So whatever assets you have abroad, maybe you have homes abroad, you will receive interest from that, from the home you have abroad. So the interest you receive becomes a flow of income. These are primary income. Do you get it? Whatever you receive in terms of assets abroad are primary income. But whatever you receive that does not involve any transaction, we call it secondary income. Do you understand the difference between primary income and secondary now? Money received from factors of production is primary income because it's transaction. But when you receive money without any form of transaction, it is a secondary income. Maybe Libya or Turkish government gives Libyan government money. It's a secondary income. Is it clear? Let's scroll down, please. The relationship between the current account and exchange rates. The pattern of international trade can be influenced by changes in the exchange rate because exchange rate is the value of a country's currency in terms of other currencies. So that means when we have to deal with other currencies, other countries, we need to use a foreign currency. So that means there's always going to be a relationship between the exchange rate, the foreign exchange rate, and the current accounts. So if a country's exchange rate gets stronger, which means that one unit of the currency can buy more units of another currency, exports become more expensive and imports become cheaper. So if the exchange rate, if the dinars rises against the dollars, it means export from Libya becomes expensive. Libya to import becomes cheaper. That is the point. Do you get it or not? Are you sure? I explain again. All right. So there's a relation between there's always a relation between goods and services that is being exchanged with other countries. We need to have a foreign exchange. So the foreign exchange is what the price of a country's currency in terms of other currencies. So we're taking Libya as an example. So if the dinars rises against the dollars, it means dinars add value more than the dollars. This will mean that dollars will buy less of dinars. As a result of that, Libyan's export becomes expensive for those who want to use dollars to buy. But we will be able to import from countries that uses dollar because we can buy more of dollars now with our dinars. So imports become cheaper, exports becomes expensive. Do you get it? As a result of this, because of a fall in exports, our balance of payments could go into deficit. And when our currency can buy more of other currencies, we have the incentive to buy more of imports. So buying more of imports might make it to have more imports than exports. And that will also bring about balance of payments deficit, current account. Do you get it? Yes. On the other hand, if the exchange rate falls, it means our currency will buy less of other countries' currency. Our exports become cheaper. As a result of that, we might be having improved balance of payments. Yeah. So for our balance of payments to improve, we need to do more of export than import. Is it clear? Yes. Examples of real-world exchange rates. Exchange rates rarely remain stable over a period of time. The rate at which one country's currency exchanges against that of another is determined by the market forces. So the exchange rate is determined by demand for and the supply of the currency. You get the point? Demand for and the supply of the currency. That is what determines the exchange rate. We'll go down. Reasons for deficit and surpluses. Do you understand how the exchange rate is determined, or you want me to explain it again?
What?
How the exchange rate is determined by the market forces. Yeah. The exchange rate is determined by the market forces of demand and supply. So if the demand for our country's currency is increasing, the value of our currency would rise. If we need more of foreign currencies, the value of our currency would fall. That is demand for and supply. Is it clear?
Yes.
Now go to reasons for deficit and surpluses. Most governments would prefer to have a healthy current account on balance of payments. This might mean that over a period of time, a large deficit is avoided. Some countries like China and Japan, for example, have often enjoyed quite large current account surpluses. What are the reasons for these deficits and surpluses? So what brings about current account surplus or current account deficit? That's the question. The first one is the quality of domestic goods. If a country develops a reputation of high quality goods, it is likely to enjoy rising sales from overseas buyers. This will drive up the demand for exports and help to improve a current account balance. So if your country has a reputation about is known to sell quality products, exports of your products will increase. As a result of that, you have an improved balance of payments, which might be surplus. Quality of foreign goods. If goods and services from overseas are superior to those produced domestically, you will do more of imports. As a result of that, it might lead to more imports, less exports, meaning that there will be balance of payments, current account deficit. Clear? Price of domestic goods. Demand for goods and services is heavily influenced by the price. If domestic goods are expensive owing to rapid inflation, for example, then demand for overseas buyers is likely to fall. This will see a progressive worsening of the current balance. Because we are having domestic inflation will mean that the price of our exports would also increase. Foreign businesses will not be buying from us. As a result, we will be having a worse balance of payment current account. Clear? Price of foreign goods. If foreign goods are cheaper than those produced at home, there will be a rapid in demand for imports. As a result of that, we do more of imports than exports. This will bring about current account balance deficit. Clear? Exchange rates between countries. Since the exchange rate affects the price of domestic goods and foreign goods, any changes in the exchange rate can have an impact on the current account. So if the dinars fell against the dollars, we do more of exports. Because we can't buy more of imports. The foreign businesses will buy more of our business. Our foreign businesses will buy more of our exports. That would improve our balance of payments. But if our foreign exchange rate increases more than those of the foreign currencies, we do more of imports. We have less of exports. That would bring about balance of payment deficit. There. The impact of a current account deficit. Are you there? If there is a deficit, how does it affect the economy? If a nation has a persistent current account deficit, it may experience a number of effects, such as one, for example, if consumers buy increasing quantities of imports, domestic output and employment will be negatively affected. So if we are having a current account deficit, it means that we are doing more of imports. And if we are doing more of imports, it means we are not buying our domestic products. But not patronizing our domestic businesses would mean that domestic jobs will be lost. That is the point they are making here. So what are those things that would happen? One, leakages from the economy. A persistent current account deficit suggests that the country is becoming increasingly dependent on imports. This means that consumers are buying goods produced outside the domestic economy. So that is leakages. It is leakages because we stop patronizing ours. We are exposed to buying from foreigners, from foreign businesses. That will bring about deficits. Do you get it? And that increases unemployment. Two, inflation. A country running a high current account deficit might be exposed to inflationary pressures. If the price of imports go up, this will be reflected in the general price level since many imported goods will be counted by when the CPI is calculated. Consequently, rising import prices will result in higher domestic inflation levels. The greater the reliance on imports, the greater the threat of inflation when import prices rises. Because we depend mostly on importation. So that means this is what we do. We do imports. So whatever we sell here are imported goods. So prices might rise. The import prices rises. If import prices rises, that means domestically we have to increase the price.
Yeah.
This is the inflationary pressure. And this is not good for the economy. Is it clear? Low demand for exports. A country with a high current account deficit might be struggling to sell goods and services abroad. We would have had current account deficit because the value of our exports is high, or the value of our currency is also high. So foreign customers do not want to buy from us. So because they are not going to buy from us, what we sell abroad will less. So revenue from abroad will be lower. This will have impact. That is the point there. Do you get it?
Yeah.
There is current account deficit, which might be as a result of less competitiveness internationally from our business, from our country. So foreign businesses do not want to patronize us because the value of our export is so high, or the quality of what we produce is not to what their expectations are. So we are having deficit. So it brings about low demand for export. Do you get it?
Yeah.
Okay. Funding the deficits. Now that we are having deficits, government might need to borrow or to take money from their reserves to make adjustments. Let's read. If a country has a continuing current account deficit, it will need foreign currency to pay for the rising quantity of imports that are being purchased. If the foreign currency reserves of a country run low, it will be necessary to borrow. However, persistent borrowing may cause long-term problems. Sometimes a current account deficit can be financed by capital account surplus. You know what we have in our capital account, our investment abroad, assets abroad. For example, flow of foreign currencies can be attracted by a country if its interest rates are high. So, if we are having current account deficits, we might have to pay, because we do more of imports. That means we have to pay with foreign currency. So we have to dig into our foreign reserves to pay for these things, which is the bad thing. So the other thing you could do is to increase your interest rate. When you increase your interest rate here, a lot of countries, a lot of foreign savers would come to your country to save. So that will bring money into your country. Money will not come to your country like that. They will need more of the dinars. As a result of that, the dinars will have more value. Then you'll be able to have more money with you. That will improve your balance of payments. Is it clear? Any question about it? So the multiple choice question. Question 1. Which of the following is an example of an invisible item of trade? Invisible. Invisible. Insurance, yes, that's service.
This confectionery.
Things we buy, things we buy that with like gold, jewelry, yeah.
Question 2. It's is it to improve the car?
Okay. What?
Question 2.
The sale of Renault cars from the Morocco factory to Spain, France, and Germany result in which? What's your answer? C, yes. Yeah, okay. Is it clear? Any question about it? That ends the chapter. Chapter 28, right?